So, Mark, we're moving on to what last week we called our first-class citizen. And I think we would always consider on any job, we've got a data-first approach. So it's that big one, it's data. Talk us through the complications and how key stakeholders are always absolutely frightened to death about losing key data and key findings. Talk us through the answers that we've got for that.
Yeah, I think this is a massive and really important topic, data is. And of course, as you transform a legacy system, one of the things that undoubtedly will come across is the data. You can't start afresh, with the data. You've been running your business for many, many years on this system. And there's really important information in that data. A lot of large transformation projects that fail are the ones that just treat data purely as storage. We've just got, storage of what was needed for that application to run. Just move that storage across, do some data migration, have it as a separate stream, and everything will be okay. We think of data up front. We think of it absolutely as one of the key criteria for success here. We don't just think of data as what is stored in the database. It's the metadata. It's what's in the logs, what's in the analytics, what's in the monitoring of the user's behavior. How people are using the system. That there's data around that as well. And ultimately, the data that is stored is the essence of the business. That's where people's orders are. That's where the decisions are made. That's where your customer base is. That's the essence of your business. Let's really treat it like that. So whenever we do data transformation, the first and probably the single most important question we ask is the database schema fit for your future business, right? So does it reflect what the business needs to achieve? And really, if you took a logical view of your database, so I don't mean the naming of the tables, but if you took a step back and did a logical view data model of your data, your business people should understand that as your company. That is what runs our company. That is what makes up our company there. We have orders and we have customers and we have campaigns and then initiatives. If they can't recognize their business in that data, in that logical data model, you've got a problem straight away, right? So that's one of the first things we do is we review that, we extract out a logical data model of that, and we question, does this meet what your business does now? If there's things quoted in that you did 20 years ago but no longer did, then that's important to know, right? And that helps us come to the question of, should we keep the essence of this database scheme? We might split it up into domains and we might do some refactoring, but do we keep it? And we might move it to new technologies, but do we keep the essence of it? Or does it need some redesign to better align with the business, right? And as the business goes through this change, we don't want to just look when we're saying what is the logical representation of what the business does. We don't want to just look at that database tables. One of the big things we look at when we look at data is actually the screens, how the users or your customers interact with you. That's how they see your data from the outside in, right? So we go through a fairly, kind of well-trodden path that we've been doing for many years of looking, first of all, at that user's interaction with the system, recording the screen interactions and recording the paths through that screen. We have a technique that we've used for many years called RDA, Relational Data Analysis, that allows us to go through, trace the screen usage, and generate out a data model that would support that. We've actually more recently used some AI modeling tools or some extraction tools to record those images and to use a large language model to say what is the best representation of that screen interactions in data. We took it another stage to generate our first step of the API definitions to support that. So that's all work in progress that we'll share more about in the future. But the principle is still the same, that first understand how your customers and how your business users view the data in your business. Then go and get the logical model from the database. Then go and look at what the future strategy of the business is. Is there anything that in the current system they can't support or they want to move to? So that allows us then to generate out a new 2B data model of the system. What we can then do with that 2B model is trace it back now to the as is to say, is this fit for purpose as it is? Is it fit for purpose with a series of refactoring and changes? Or should we start again and use a new, better model to map where the business wants to go? And then that gives us our data migration strategies around that of what we need to do and our coexistence strategies and etc. It affects everything in the program. And, this is one thing we're fairly adamant about. Think about data first. Do not separate out a data migration stream that at the end of the design, it's their jobs to try and bring the old data into the new system.
No, that's brilliant, Mark. I think that business first approach, coupled with our views on data that are pretty immovable and are the foundations of what we do, I think as a stakeholder, that would give me tremendous confidence of the approach.
Yeah, indeed. And it's there's another point. You triggered me by talking about stakeholders. Different stakeholders have different views of the data. If you talk to the operations director, they'll be very interested about every single, detailed bit of data. So the commercial manager or the marketing manager, they want to know the customer's view of that data. And what has tended to happen with a lot of legacy systems is all those viewpoints of data have been collated together for one general data model that fits all. So you end up mixing business logic, regulations, compliance elements, IT support elements. So the important thing when you're refactoring that data model is thinking about what is the core essence of the business model here in the data. What is there for customer experience, for workflows, for managing elements? What's there for what's layered on for auditing and stuff, and don't treat it all the same, Look at that and thinking what's the best way to model for each of these different perspectives.